You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Welcome back for another issue of Imagine If. We're back, and guess what? It's our 200th episode. Wah, wah, wah.
This many.
This many. Chris, 200 episodes, man. We've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, honestly, you know what's funny, though? It always feels like, I feel this way about TV shows. It feels like it takes forever to get to 100, and then when you do hit 100, it's like, bam. Like, I don't know, like, remember The Simpsons when they had their 100th episode? It felt like it took forever. And the next thing you know, it's like, here's episode 500. And you're like, what? Seriously? So it's just crazy. So, yep, I mean, like 3 weeks from now, it'll be episode 300.
I mean, that's usually how it works, especially when we add in the legacy numbering. So it's okay.
Do our Marvel math.
Yeah, that's right. We're gotten to episode 200 or issue 200. For this, we did a little prep. We did online prep. We did legacy tournament. Essentially, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier being the big hit that it is, we wanted to talk about who holds up the best legacy between Captain America and Batman. There have been many people to take on the Captain America name. There have been many people to take on the Batman name after are Steve Rogers and Bruce Wayne, respectively. Could you ever imagine, like, the two of them switching costumes? Like, they should have done that in the Batman Captain America like team up that one issue.
I think the best thing I've ever seen was when they did switch partners. So when John Byrne did his Batman Captain America one shot set in like the 1940s, so you got to see Captain America and Robin, and then Batman and Bucky. So that's about as close as we've gotten to see them switch anything.
I mean, was that Dick Grayson Robin or Jason Todd Robin? It was Dick Grayson?
Dick Grayson. Yeah.
Could you just imagine it being a Jason Todd and just be that Bucky and Jason both looking at each other like, yeah, we know what's coming.
Well, an upgrade though.
But then an upgrade, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so you know, we did an online tournament. We had our followers, our listeners, all comment on who they would think between Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, Frank Castle, who was
Walker.
John Walker. That's right. I don't know why I could forget John Walker, and then Dick Grayson, Jason Todd.
Jean Paul Valley.
Why do I keep forgetting the ones that I like? And Jim Gordon. Of all those people to carry on the Batman name, who makes it to the end as the best legacy? We will get to that at the end of the podcast. First, we're going to talk about what's on the spinner rack. Then we're going to recap a little bit of what happened in Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 5. Truth. That's right. So before we get to all that, Chris, let's see what's on the spinner rack for this new comic book day.
All right, folks, it's been a while, but remember, every week you get twice the dose of comic books for your comic book days. So this Tuesday, DC Comics will launch all their stuff. They will be starting a Batman Fortnite 0 Point crossover book. This is pretty wild. I never really got into Fortnite. I don't know what Fortnite is, but Fortnite might be the closest we ever get to a DC versus Marvel video game because they've had skins for both universes. Marvel, I believe, ran a Fortnite cover month, and now DC is doing a Fortnite story. So who knows? I might need to check out what this thing is. I'm not doing the dances, though. I
have no idea what actually happens in Fortnite. Like, I know it's a video game, and that's about it.
Yep. So yeah, definitely get ready for that. Let's see. Batman versus Ra's al Ghul #6 will come to a conclusion. All right, I got to rant a little bit on Neil Adams here. I like the guy, but okay, so you know me, Mitch. I'm a big Dead Man fan. So I look at this cover and I see Dead Man hiding out there on the left side, and I'm like, oh. Luckily, I got to do a sneak peek. He's only in it for 2 panels. Ooh. Oh,
Is that
not
the
cool,
end?
Neil. I hope so. God, I hope so. He's been just like, I don't know what the dude's doing. Like, Marvel was smart. It's like, okay, yes, the guy is a legacy artist. He's done a lot for the industry. Have somebody help him write these stories, because that Batman versus Ra's al Ghul was hard to get through. Even his Dead Man was hard to get through. And I love Dead Man. And I was like, oh, so I hope it's the end. I mean, I know that's the end for this miniseries. I just hope he doesn't decide to be like, let me do another crossover. Like, no, just stop. Stop while you're ahead. All right. Catwoman issue 30 will be out, continuing on her Infinite Frontier Adventures by Ram V. So that's going to be some good stuff. Wally West fans, it's your time. Flash issue 769 will be out. So this is the redemption of Wally West. So we've got him running around in his classic suit, which I am so glad is back. I love it. As we can see on this regular cover, he is carrying Gold Beetle. So it'll be very interesting to find out more about her, because it looks like she's taking on both the Blue Beetle Booster Gold mantles.
Wow.
So that's going to be pretty wild. Yep. We got those creepy looking aliens in the background as well. So
the Dominators?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
That looks like a redesign for the Dominators.
They've always had that look. I always remember those creepy teeth. Ugh.
Yeah. I liked Wally West's like rebirth outfit. Like I really dug that suit.
I liked it too. Actually, I'll tell you, you know which one was my favorite? Going back to the first Flash rebirth. So when Barry came back and they gave Wally like his own costume, so it was definitely more crimson and it had the animated series logo.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the best looking Wally costume. But I do agree with you, when they did his rebirth one with the exposed hair and the blue and silver lightning effects, I thought that was pretty cool looking. But I'm glad to see Wally's getting some love, because God, dude, I mean, if you think about it, what 2011 is when New 52 happened. So I mean, so at least since probably 2010, the dude has just been put in the back seat, and then it's like, oh well, let's just run his name through the mud to make Barry even cooler. And I love Barry, but man, just don't do that to people, you know, like that was rough. So I hope his time to shine is now, and I hope it lasts a good while. So Wally fans, come back. I think it's worth it. Let's see, Joker. Issue 2 will have a Virgin cover coming out, so if you missed out, definitely go pick it up. Joker issue 2 was huge. I don't know if you heard the spoilers out there, fans, but Mitch, if you're okay with it, I'll share it with you.
Okay.
Jim Gordon knows. He knew that Barbara was Batgirl this whole time. Now, I know some people might be like, well, so what? We've kind of seen it. Yes, it's been hinted at. It's been thought about, but it's official. So this is pretty crazy. So how much more does Jim know? Does he know that the rest of the group does, you know, it's been applied in other universes that he knows. So it makes sense that he should probably know here.
He wouldn't be a good detective if he wasn't, if he didn't figure that out, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I've always felt, I feel like Jim Gordon and Perry White, they know. You know, it's just for the sake of something greater. That's why they don't reveal, you know. But I feel like they've known those secrets. They're just doing Clark and Bruce a solid. Let's see. Moving along, though, we've got Justice League issue 60 out. So Brian Michael Bendis is going to be doing the bringing back the heroics of Black Adam. I think he's an interesting character. I did like it when they first did that in Justice Society of America, JSA. I thought that was a great addition, but when he ultimately fell as a villain again, I thought that was even better. So I'm kind of bummed. I like the dude as a villain, but I don't think The Rock wants to play a villain, so that's why we're getting him being a hero again.
Do you prefer Black Adam with the cape or without the cape?
I always liked him without the cape.
So do I. I think his non-cape look is a lot more sleek.
Yeah, because like I always felt like the cape is like when he's like presiding over his throne, like when he's more at like, okay, you know, I'm here, but when it's time to fight, just rips that cape off and it's like, all right, let's do this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So Rock, I know you listen. Make sure you do that in your scenes, okay? One of my favorite books is going to be coming out this week. Nightwing issue 79. Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo are killing it with Nightwing. I was lucky enough to do the advanced review on this one. Oh my God, Mitch, it was so great. The dialogue between Dick and Barbara was fun. The story was great. Bruno Redondo even snuck in Marv Wolfman and George Perez in the art. I was like, this is so beautiful. It's fun. Like, and I love the way they capture the character. Like, I'm probably gushing too much. Feel free to mute. But I thought it was so great because, so spoilers, Alfred is richer than Bruce Wayne. And when he died, he left all the money to Dick.
Wow.
And so Dick is trying to figure out, like, well, what should I do? Blah, 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 blah. At one point, he's sitting in his empty apartment with Barbara and the new dog. Oh, God, what was the name? I think it's Haley, a.k.a. Bitewing. So they were sitting there, and Dick is contemplating eating the dog food. And then Barbara's like, we can go out to eat, you know. And so they go out to, like, the pizza joint that Marv and George are running. And it's funny because Dick at first is like, oh, can I get 2 slices and 2 drinks? Then Barbara's like, Dick, you're rich. And he's like, oh, that's right. I get 4 slices. I just love that because it's like, yes, there's rich, and then there's people that are just like, they have a lot of money. So I love the fact that Dick is still himself, even though now he's, you know, whatever, probably safer to say billionaire nowadays. So I thought that was great. So great touch of humanity in the book. Go out there, check it out. You're going to enjoy those monthly adventures. Superman, Red and Blue #2 will be out. So here we get the new, kind of in continuity, not necessarily worried about continuity, adventures of Superman in just basic 3 colors, red, white, and blue. This one, we get to see some tales of Clark versus Luthor. Val Zod will be back. So this is the Superman of Earth 2. It's a shame because he was introduced during the New 52's Earth 2 series. Val Zod is the son of... my God, why can I not think of his name? Zod. Did he have like another name, or was he just General Zod?
He
was just General.
I've always heard him referred to as General Zod, but I know he has a first name, and I'm pretty sure they say it in Krypton, the TV series, but I can't think of it at the moment.
So Zod has his son Val Zod, and Val Zod is choosing to be a hero, and great character. It's a shame that, like, he needs to be brought back more. I really wish that they could find a way to take the idea of the Earth 2, quote unquote, JSA, and then the JSA, and just make an awesome team. You know, JSI, Justice Society Infinity, would be fantastic. Please listen to that idea, DC. But anyway, so yes, if you know Val Zod, check him out. If you don't know Val Zod, get this issue. I have a strong feeling this will be one of the ones that will probably definitely be picking up in its value. Cyborg Superman will also be getting a quick character piece in there as well. So if you want to see what old crazy Hank Henshaw's up to, definitely pick that one up. Quite a few different covers as well. It's kind of interesting though, like, not to knock them, but the art's a little bit off on some of these. So I'm kind of like, because these color books are more or less the ones where the artists get to shine. So definitely kind of interesting piece there.
Yeah.
Truth and Justice issue 3 will be out. So this is a story that definitely examines social issues with superheroes. So if you definitely want to check it out. So in this one, we get to find out about John Constantine. He's definitely portrayed as a good guy, but deep down, dude's kind of a scumbag. So it's going to be very interesting. I do find it interesting. I think you and I maybe chatted about this a little bit, but like characters like him and even Deathstroke, and not to say that John Constantine is a Deathstroke, but it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, after DC's The Other History, whatever issue it was, I think it was issue 3 that came out, where they kind of were like, yeah, don't forget, Deathstroke did this. It really kind of shines a huge negative light. I'm very curious to see how DC's going to be like, I don't know if we want to remind people about these certain aspects of our quote unquote lovable heroes. So this might be something where you'll pick it up, and who knows if you'll look at old Johnny the same or not. And then we've got some collected editions. So we've got Batman, Creature of the Night by Kurt Busiek and John Paul Leon. God, like maybe close to 2 decades ago, which is scary to say. They did the, it was Superman. I think it was called Last Son of Krypton. That was the one where a young Clark Kent grew up on his planet Earth and then discovered he had Superman's powers. I think that was one of your favorite stories. So they finally did a sequel, quote unquote, a spiritual sequel, where Bruce Wayne Wright had his his family had died, and then he decided to become become his world's Batman. So, kind of interesting stories there. I like the fact that the first time they did it, they did Clark Kent. This one, I know it's cheesy, but I really wish they didn't do Bruce Wainwright. I just wish they would have kept it as Bruce Wayne. Let's see. We've got Dark Knight's Death Metal, The Darkest Night. So this was the big crossover of last year for DC Comics. So if you're looking to get it all collected, this will be one of the 3 trade paperbacks you need to buy. Good luck reading it all in order, though, because for some reasons, both companies' collected editions departments don't like to put stuff in order. So you're going to have to get a lot of sticky notes and flip back and forth between the 3. But I was very surprised. I did enjoy it. As you can kind of see from the cover there, we have all kinds of different versions of Batmen, evil Batmen to check out. One of them is Bat Rex. So that dinosaur in the Batcave is actually a robot that Bruce Wayne put his consciousness in so he could use it later on to be an evil Batman.
Of course.
That's right. He said it. And then I even love right here in the bottom corner, you have the, I forget what they called it, the Batmobile. Oh, wait, no, here we go. Yeah. So there was a sentient Batmobile. That one was just insane. So Batman puts his consciousness into the mind of a monster truck Batmobile. Then here we go. Here's the proper name. Batmanosaurus Rex. Yeah.
Yeah. That's I think they're going a little weird with these Dark Knight Metals storylines now.
Yeah, that is definitely something else. Here's one that hurts, though, to say. Flashpoint is celebrating its 10th anniversary. Ugh. So there will be a 10th anniversary omnibus edition that will be out. So Flashpoint, as you know, took the amazing world of DC Comics and then broke it for about a good decade. They're still in the process of fixing it. But this book will collect it all. You will get the 5-part Flashpoint miniseries, Booster Gold, Flash, tie-in issues, and then all the World of Flashpoint books. So you'll get the I don't even know what they were, but yes, they'll all be there. So this is definitely going to be a thick book. It has a hefty price tag of $150, so definitely shop around if that's your thing. Next up, we will have Superman Up in the Sky, and this is where Tom King and Andy Kubert teamed up to do their Superman story. So these were originally featured in the Walmart Giant comic books. You may or may not already own this, but if you want to own it as one complete trade paperback, this is the way to go. And then Wonder Woman's current series will be collecting part 4, The Four Horsewomen, as the New Adventures of Diana kicks off. If you come back to your local comic shop the following Wednesday, you can get all these brand new Marvel comics. So Alien will be going on. I find this funny. Philip Kennedy Johnson is writing Alien at Marvel, right? Then he's also writing another Alien at DC Comics because he's the main writer of Superman.
No.
So how crazy is that? That in your head, you've got to imagine the voices for Xenomorphs and then the Man of Steel. So, and then I believe he's also writing Carnage as well. So this dude's got to flex some muscles, his mental muscles, all right.
All having to do with aliens, though.
Yeah, craziness. Let's see. Amazing Spider-Man issue 64 will be out. I don't know what Nick Spencer's doing, so if you're reading it, you're reading it.
What's Hyperion? There will be a lot of variant. Yeah, I was gonna say, what's Hyperion and the Incredible Hulk have to do with Spider-Man?
Well, so we are getting ready for Heroes Reborn. That will be the big crossover event that's happening from the Avengers. So basically, the world is going to change here pretty soon. I don't know how, but everybody's going to be living in a world where the Avengers never happened. So that forced, I don't know what they would call themselves, the Squadron Supreme of America is my best guess. But that team is what's going to come up in to fill that vacuum. And so, obviously, when the Hulk was first created, he was more of a menace. Luckily, the Avengers kind of teamed up with him and said, no, he's just misunderstood. Well, if there were no Avengers to team up with him, obviously their man of might is going to have to take down this mighty Marvel monster. So that's the plan there. So these will be kind of history variant covers to show us a little bit of what did happen. You can pick one of those up with Amazing Spider-Man at issue 64, as Mitch was saying, where we have a very regal Hyperion holding up his fresh catch of the Incredible Hulk. Let's see. Avengers issue 45 will be part of the King in Black, which is over, but you can definitely catch a little bit of what's going on in the ending there. And this might be a big book because even though the world will be reborn with new memories of the Squadron Supreme, Blade will be the only person who knows that it wasn't always that way. So this might lead into that kind of like a zero issue type of thing. So definitely check it out. And there is a variant cover. So this one features Captain America breaking out of the ice. So obviously the Avengers were the ones that found Captain America. They were chasing Namor, and Namor got mad at some Eskimo people and broke apart their ice, which led to Captain America going to warmer waters. And then the Avengers in their submarine found Captain America and revived him. Well, if there's no Avengers, then there's no reason why he should have been broken out of the ice by Namor. So there you go. He'll be stuck in that regard. Black Knight, Curse of the Ebony Blade, issue 2 will be out. So if you want to get ready for Black Knight's premiere in the Eternals movie, this is definitely the book to check out, as I'm sure they're going to be changing comic book history or examining it or bringing it to a modern audience. So definitely check that out. Captain Marvel, issue 28 will be out as well. And we also get a variant cover there. So this one, it looks like it might be Power Princess helping out Hercules against Fin Fang Foom and everybody else being turned to stone. Not too sure what story that references. The best thing I can think of is probably the Grey Gargoyle probably somehow took advantage of the commotion and turned them all to statues.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, Carnage, Black, White, and Blood has his own 3-color book as well. So if you want to get some twisted stories, definitely check that one out. Champions issue 6 will be out as we deal with the young heroes being on the run, still trying to be heroic. They will also have a variant cover as well. In this one, we get to see a fantastic Jugger Doom as he sits upon his throne. So the only thing I can imagine is Victor Von Doom must have gotten the Crimson Crystal of Cyttorak. So that is definitely a scary looking villain.
Yeah.
And also a Marvel Legends action figure I want.
Yeah, I was trying to think, is that Victor Von Doom with the Crimson Bands of Cyttorak, or is that Kane Marco in Doom outfit?
Yeah, imagine it's got to be Doom getting the gem.
Or the gem,
I do like the fact that his knuckles spelled Doom.
Of course they do.
That's the one thing I'm excited about for this one. Oh yeah, it's going to be crazy looking. Obviously, history has changed, so we'll have to see what's going to happen. Let's see. Eternals issue 4 will be out as well, so definitely to help you understand what's coming up for that movie. The Mighty Valkyries will be getting their own series, so issue 1 begins. And we also get a Heroes Reborn variant cover where we get to see, I imagine at this point his name is Speed Demon. He's had so many names, basically the Evil Flash. At one point he was Johnny Quick, but then DC had that hero, so they've changed his name several times. But I think they've landed with Speed Demon, so it looks like he's definitely running around. I can't tell if that's space or if it's probably somewhere in the mystical realms, because sometimes they do look kind of scary.
So in Valkyries, I assume that there's more than just the one Valkyrie. However, they want the character that we're going to be seeing in the MCU, played by Tessa Thompson, to be the main character. Like, do you eventually just give her an actual name, or do we just still call her Valkyrie?
Well, it's going to be interesting because it's funny because there was definitely a need, or not necessarily a need, but people wanted to see Jane Foster back again, considering that Natalie Portman will be reprising the role in Thor 4. So they couldn't give her back the hammer because they just spent all that story having her be Thor and then eventually Thor being worthy enough to return. So they created Jane to become the next Valkyrie. But as you mentioned, Thompson did such a great job as the Valkyrie that it's like, uh-oh, what do we do? So yeah, it's just going to be Valkyries, you know. To me, it's one of those things where I feel like maybe they could handle it like Green Lanterns. Like, yes, we know what the Valkyries are, but they definitely have their own names as well. So,
okay, that's fair.
You know, hopefully they'll play it well there. But Jason Aaron's going to be on it for a little bit, so I trust in Jason. I think he'll have a good plan for us.
I mean, Jason Aaron's the one that created Jane Foster, right?
Yep.
Okay.
He had that idea. Yep. Let's see. What else do we got going on? Sword issue 5 will be out. And again, fans of the WandaVision show, this is not the Sword you know. This is a way different one, so definitely get prepared for that. Spider-Woman issue 11 will be out as well. And then we also get a Heroes Reborn variant cover there. So here we see Thanos with the Infinity Gems, but they're not necessarily gems this time. They look to be more like rings. So we'll definitely see Thanos wield the power. He doesn't necessarily need the gauntlet; he just needs fingers.
Is he handling the Mandarin's rings?
You know, that could be an interesting point. Maybe he does get the Mandarin's rings instead. Upon my first initial glance, it definitely looked like it was more the Infinity Stones, gems. But, you know, considering that they're in ring form, maybe you're right. Maybe he just said, oh, I'll go after these 10 instead. I mean, 10's bigger than 6.
Isn't that a story? Is that a thing where like they've tried to do that, where the Mandarin's rings were a offshoot of the Infinity Stones or Infinity Gems?
I know there was a while where they tried to make them a little bit more relevant and stronger. I do believe they did play with the concept that they were off-world items as well. But I don't think it really ever took off because Mandarin, as much as he's a great villain, I know Marvel's kind of like, yeah, we don't want backlash. So unfortunately, the character's been kind of lost, as have the rings.
Well, now he's coming back in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So
yeah, so it'll be interesting. So I hope they do, because I always like the idea of those rings. You know, I'm very curious to see, like, okay, what are you going to do here? Yeah, I'm hoping something big will happen there. Let's see. We've got the Trials of Ultraman issue 2. So definitely Ultraman did very well to get his second miniseries. The X-Men universe will be expanding even more. So we will have Way of X #1. So this will be Nightcrawler's book where he gets to explore religion, sex, and resurrection, you know, because that's what you do.
So wait, with... what was it? House of X, then Sword of X, now Way of X. Like, are these all one continuous story and they're just changing the title? Or do those books also still exist and are ongoing as this book starts?
Well, they're events in a shared universe. They're not like, it's like, you know, World War I and World War II happened on our world. They are related, but, you know, everybody tosses out the phrase, oh, this is like World War III. It's not necessarily official to it. So, like, yes, House of X is the big event that really rocked the X-Men's world, right? And I'm sure they even made sure to play the title that way for Nightcrawler, because in the what was it called again? Powers of 10.
Powers of 10 and...
Oh God, I should know this. Was it just House of X? Did he do that?
House of X and Powers of 10? Is that what it was?
Well, Oh my gosh! Now I'm maybe okay. Maybe I'm confused because you had the one going all the way back to when Bendis wrote it, right? With House of M.
Right.
That's what's going on. All right. Sorry for my I don't know my letters. So way back in the day, children, there was a story called House of M, and Wanda got mad and said no more mutants. And then forever later, Jonathan Hickman came and he said, "Hey, I want to do some crazy stuff with the X-Men." So he did House of X and Powers of 10. And so, yes, this is like the next continuation of that. This is more of the fallout because the play is when they were creating their, oh gosh, maybe like their constitution or their three sacred rules. Nightcrawler came up with the play on words and he said, make more mutants. So basically, he's like, yeah, let's start having little babies and whatnot. And with him being a religious character and a very thought-provoking character, this is definitely going to be the book that will explore some of that stuff. So, we have people that, as they put right here, mutant kind has a new era, but people struggle to fit in, or they choose violence and death. So it's one person's just basically got to try to make sense of things, and it comes down to Nightcrawler. So he's going to be assembling his own crew, and he's going to help people defeat their inner darkness. So it looks like he's going to kind of bring philosophy and religion to the X teams and stuff like that. So it could be pretty interesting.
Is there an ongoing X-Men or Uncanny X-Men book?
So we do have an ongoing X-Men book, which will actually get canceled here pretty quickly. Actually, I'll just go into right now because I was going to throw this one at you. I forgot about that. So there will be the first book to close off in the Hickman era. So Jonathan Hickman has been writing X-Men, and then he's going to end that book. They're going to relaunch it. I'm not sure when. Maybe July, I think. Or July. X-Men #1 will relaunch in July 7th. And so this one, we're going to get an X-Men team because the thought process is technically during this House of X Powers of 10 story or world or whatever you want to call it, there has not been an official X-Men team because they've just been the mutants of Krakoa. So Cyclops and Jean basically said, no, we're going to start doing something about this. We're going to make our own X-Men. So they had an actual recruiting session, and the team came up with Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Sunfire, Rogue, Wolverine, but it'll be Laura, not Logan, Sync, and then we as fans got to vote because, Marvel was like, hey, Imagine If's idea is great, so we should start stealing their stuff. So they had their own little pick and choose vote, and the winner of that vote was Polaris.
Wow.
So that will be the team. Xavier has been shown in the artwork, so will he be a member of the X-Men or not? And technically, he shouldn't be because you can't be on the Council of Krakoa and be an active militant mutant. So that's going to be very, very interesting. So so basically we've had a comic called X-Men, but they haven't been doing X-Men things. So now Jerry Duggan and Pepe Larraz will revive the X-Men, and looks like they're going to be doing X-Men-like things, which I'm excited for because even though it's been fun, this is kind of like reading a book about government, and I don't want to read comics for that stuff. I am very surprised, though, that they didn't call this Uncanny X-Men. Just because, the X-Men sounds great, but Uncanny X-Men definitely sounds a little bit more spicy. So I'll be curious to see what the plan is to use that title. But Way of X will definitely be the Nightcrawler, Pixie, and a couple other characters fix, so that way you can see how they tackle inner demons. So let's see, moving along. We've got Women of Marvel #1. So this will definitely be a book featuring some solo stories of Jane Foster, Shuri, Gamora, Storm, and Elektra, and various others. So if you definitely want to get your girl power on, definitely check this one out. Lots of wild variant covers, too. We have one with... oh my God, I forgot her name now. Colossus' sister, Ileana, and then one with the Scarlet Witch, and another one with quite a few other Marvel characters, She-Hulk, Tigra, and I'm not too sure who the others might be. I think Colleen Wing
and Misty Knight.
There you go, Misty Knight. So yeah, X-Force issue 19 will be out as well. This is a book, I don't know if you should be reading it, Mitch, because this is the book that is definitely bringing Beast, making him break bad. So I'll be curious to see what's going to happen there. Now we move to the collected edition, so I'll go through that quickly. Black Widow by Kelly Thompson, Volume 1 will be out. This has been a very interesting story because Natasha's living a happy life, but does she know that's real or fake? Captain Marvel, Volume 5 will be out. The New World by Kelly Thompson as well. Dawn of X collects all the post-House of X Powers of 10 stories in chronological order, so you can read that saga. Deadpool by Joe Kelly will be getting a second volume, so you can complete those collections and adventures. Man-Thing by Steve Gerber, so if you want to read the origins of Nightwing, here's part 3 of those stories. Black Panther will be getting a third Marvel Masterworks, so if you want to go back in time and check out some of his original adventures, do that. Mighty Thor will be getting a volume 20, so now we're in the Mark Grunwald era of Thorness. Spider-Man by Roger Stern will be getting the omnibus edition there, so if you want to get to see some of the original Hobgoblin stories and how much shock that was, definitely check that out. Now, this is an interesting one. Thunderbolts Omnibus Volume 1. Why are they making an omnibus, I wonder? So I think there's going to be a lot of big plans for Citizen V and the Heroic Thunderbolts, a.k.a. Baron Zemo and a bunch of scumbags. So that'll be very interesting. What, you don't like the second title?
I don't think the second title made it past marketing there.
This is why they're wrong. But yeah, this comic definitely shocked everyone because just a quick history, the Marvel heroes, Avengers and Fantastic Four, all died, quote unquote, during the Onslaught epic. So there were not as many heroes in the Marvel universe. So here comes Justice Like Lightning, the Thunderbolts. And at the end of the first issue, we find out that it's a bunch of villains in disguise. So what a crazy concept by Kurt Busiek and others. X Factor will be getting a third volume epic collection. So if you want to see some of the early evil tales of Apocalypse, definitely check this one out. And actually, I think they've got this wrong. It should be volume 2. This is titled Angel of Death. So if you want to see Angel turn into Archangel for the first time, this is definitely the book to go to. And that's your friggin' long spinner rack.
That's right. That's a lot of new comic books on New Comic Book Day. So going into the next thing, let's talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier if we're talking about Thunderbolts. Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 5, if you haven't watched yet, don't listen to this part because we're going to talk about it. We're going to spoil it. I guess, there's a lot to talk about. Bucky and Cap had a discussion before Cap went away, went back in time, before Steve went back in time. And that's when they were going to give they had the discussion of giving the shield to Sam.
Yeah.
Obviously, Buck has the conversation with Sam now of like, yeah, we're just, we're not in the know. We didn't understand, your plight. It's our privilege to not understand that plight, but we didn't think about the effects of a black man carrying on the shield. So, we're sorry. Like Bucky is apologizing for himself and Steve, but definitely Sam is by the end of the episode making the decision that we all know is the right decision for him to eventually pick up the mantle of Captain America. He's practicing, he's training, he is running, with kids and telling them on the left. So it's a lot happened in this episode. What was a favorite part of yours?
Honestly, I really enjoyed getting to see Bucky and Sam get closer. Like the boat stuff was fun. I really wished I had the ability to edit because I would love to make like my own trailer for a couple of guys in a boat and just show how happy they were as they were, rebuilding this boat. I thought that was great. I mean, I know there was a lot of other stuff in there. It was just a fantastic episode and it's got me salivating for the next one. It was that good. Like this was the great first half of a movie. But I was really glad to see because for some reason, and I don't know, it's funny because maybe when I first got into comics, that was fun to like Thor and Captain America are fighting. But then eventually I got older and I'm like, okay, dude, why are they fighting? Like, how come heroes can't just be like, hold on, let's compare notes for a second and let's not waste all this energy beating each other up and go after bad guys. And I was just like, yeah. So, but this one was great to finally get them to talk, to sit down and like, okay, here's where I'm coming from, like Sam really helped Bucky have a big breakthrough, like I love that part when they're tossing the shield even and he's like, it doesn't matter what Steve said. So you got to stop looking to others. And, if we think about it, this version of the Winter Soldier, ever since 1940, he's just been told what to do. It's like he went from being a kid, he signed up to be enlisted and, he's following the man's orders. And next thing you know, bam, he's taken over by Hydra. So he's being told what to do. And, it even harkens back to episode 1 when the therapist was like, you have your freedom. And he's like, freedom to do what? So I really love the personal growth that both Sam and Bucky went through in this episode.
Yeah. Sam also laying it down for Bucky. I mean, like you don't need to do the exact same thing that Steve did. You don't need to go and take care of the names on your list the way that you think or the way that you've been doing it. You should go and help somebody, not so much take down the people that you helped as the Winter Soldier. Obviously referring to, I believe his name is Ito, the father of the guy that Buck killed just because he witnessed something. But yeah, like both of them obviously have insight on what the other needs to know, needs to hear. And it's helping. It's definitely helping both of them. I did like that this episode was called Truth. Definitely a reference back to Truth, Red, White, and Black, the miniseries that introduced us to Isaiah Bradley, and Sam goes to Isaiah to be like, hey, maybe this shield belongs to you, and Isaiah's like, nah, I'm dead. Like I don't need people to know that I'm alive. I don't need that reminder of the time when terrible, horrible things were done to me in the name of this country. Like he even shows them the scars from where they, experimented on. He references, real life events of the Red Tails, of the Tuskegee experiments, of just what African American soldiers had to go through, just to be accepted as one of them, to lay down their own lives for a country that didn't like them. But it gave him new perspective on what it is that he might need to do in that role as Captain America. So it's a heavy episode, and there's a lot going on. Like the beginning of the episode starts with Sam and Buck fighting John Walker for the shield to take him in. Like that was an intense fight scene.
Yeah, like it's funny that the show opens up with Civil War again, where it's like, okay, here's Cap and Buck versus Iron Man. Instead, it's Sam and Buck versus John. It's like, wow, this is crazy. One thing and hopefully our listeners, you guys check things out and you kind of trust in us because we've devoted ourselves to comics. So I know a lot of people, like somebody asked an interesting question in the circle of people that I chat with. How come John doesn't get bigger? Because if you think about it, when Steve takes Erskine's original formula, he goes from a small guy to bulked up physique,
It's
so the question is, yeah, well, but also at the same time, these are derivative formulas,
True.
We don't, I mean, in that case, it's like, well, then how come John doesn't have a red skull for a head? It's so each formula is different. The actions on the person are definitely different. So yes, John Walker is kind of a jacked dude. So this is only, it's definitely, I think it's kind of freeing his inhibitions in a way. But yeah, we're not always going to see somebody takes the serum and then all of a sudden, bam, instant 12 pack. So results may vary.
Well, I mean, in the comic books, the 1950s Captain America and Bucky got the super soldier serum and didn't do the Vita Rays. That's why they Captain America, that Captain America ended up going crazy, and that Bucky ended up becoming Nomad. Like that's how the retcon has gone now. So if they're including that, the Vita Rays are a big important part. And yes, Steve, before getting the Super Soldier Serum, was scrawny Steve Rogers. Like he's weak. He's got a lame leg. I don't know. Does he have a lame leg? I always remember him having a lame leg. I know not in the MCU, but
like I know there's one. No, they've played it in comics. I remember that too. Like one time where he lost the Super Soldier, so he went back to scrawny Steve, and he's like, my leg, I can't run. Or I think actually, you know what? Did you ever read that one? It was the one where they killed Erskine before they could give Steve the serum, so he was wearing basically an Iron Man suit. It was a What If. I can't think of the name, but I think that might have been the one that introduced the idea of him having a lame leg.
Yeah, that's. I think that's also going to be in the What If animated series for the MCU, where they're going to give Peggy Carter the Super Soldier Serum, and Steve will have a Iron Man outfit.
Yep. Yeah.
That Howard Stark will make for him. Yeah. Did you get any reminiscence of the Avengers fighting Thanos, taking the gauntlet off when they were getting the shield off of John Walker? Because I definitely thought Star-Lord was going to come in and mess it up for everybody again.
Hey, we had to have Star-Lord do that, okay? No, it definitely it had those moments for sure. I just had to laugh that John's go-to is, I'm just going to chop everybody's head off with the shield. Like, holy moly. Like, he's definitely in a bloodlust rage. But yeah, it was something else. But I tell you what, it's funny. You can tell that you're getting older. So the whole scene where the government is dressing down John Walker, when they tell him, they're like, we are going to strip you of your benefits and retirement. That hurt me the worst. It was like, oh my God. Like, dude, no, like you do not do that to somebody. That is like you crippled this dude for life. So it definitely, but I know, right? It's like, no, getting hit with the shield in the head. No, I could take that. You take away my benefits in retirement? But that definitely hit hard, and it really made me think. So I definitely am just very intrigued by what's going on. I don't know, like, I guess we're all going to have theories, like, okay, who's the Mephisto? So that's going to be this power broker. But I almost feel like that lead senator, I think he might be the power broker.
I mean, the fact that we haven't been revealed the face of the power broker, like directly, means that it's definitely someone that we've seen already. Somebody that we have seen in the series, so that it will be like, oh my goodness. It's definitely playing it up that Sharon Carter is the power broker, that we have seen because she is obviously talking to Batroc on the phone when she's like, I got you out of that Algerian prison, you need to help me now. And then next thing we see is him showing up with the Flag Smashers to give them weapons and be like, yeah, I'm ready. I need to take out Sam. He screwed me over, so I'm ready to fuck him up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
At the end credit scene of this episode, we see John Walker making his own shield. He's using the metal, his Medal of Honors to put on there. The next time we see him in costume, do we see him in his current Captain America outfit, or do we see him in a new version, maybe as a U.S. agent?
I think this is what's going to lead to U.S. agent. I just feel that, I think the black comes in there because he feels a little bit disgraced. He's in mourning, and so I think that's definitely going to be the twist there. I did like the kind of Iron Man vibe, the clang, clang, that type of stuff going on. But yeah, I think this is where we're going to be like, the next time we see John, he's going to be like, I'm not Captain America, I'm U.S. agent, or, whatever cooler way to phrase that will happen.
Speaking of John Walker, we got introduced to a new character, and as we found out through media, this character was supposed to have been introduced to us in Black Widow last year when we first have seen the Black Widow movie. But Julia Louis-Dreyfus has come in to play Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. For people who read comic books and know the history, this is Madam Hydra. So, or at least one of the Madam Hydras. She is spycraft character, huge in that. they gave her that instead of the silver streak that the character is usually drawn with, I believe she has like a blue streak in her hair. To me, they played her off a lot like Victoria Hand. Like, that's how I felt about it. And maybe Victoria Hand in the comic books is very much the newer version of Valentina. Same idea, just came up with a new name. But how do you feel that she's going to play that up?
So I feel like I think she's going to be the opposite Nick Fury that we're looking for. So she's going to be the one that, like, I don't know, as we were talking about the spinner rack, a lot of people are feeling that way. Like, Thunderbolts is probably going to be a thing. No? And with John Walker, his character having been a former prison guard when he was protecting the raft and whatnot, I could almost see, like, you know, because even she tells him, like, oh, the best thing you're going to do in this life is answering the phone when I call. So I feel like that was that, like, it was almost that moment going back to Iron Man when Tony's in his room and then Nick Fury shows up and he's like, you're not going to do a damn thing because I've got my Avengers Initiative, you know? So it's like, I feel like that's what Val is doing. She's setting up the Thunderbolts Initiative and, you know, they're going to play her off.
And I think, I honestly think there's going to be two different things. I think there's going to be a Thunderbolts, and then I also think there's going to be a Dark Avengers. And I think Val is setting up the Dark Avengers.
Ooh, okay. That could be very interesting.
Because I think that would be kind of cool. And maybe that's what gets General Ross to set up his Thunderbolts. Like, I know I'm totally retconning that to make it fit into the MCU, but it just makes sense to me. I think that's, you know, he's like, oh, they're setting up their own Dark Avengers. There is no Avengers right now. How about my Thunderbolts? You know, government sanctioned Thunderbolts. And he uses the guys that he knows, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be. I mean, honestly, it's that does sound pretty cool. And plus, if you think about it, that leads to like a dark civil war as well, because then it's like the Avengers, the Dark Avengers versus the Thunderbolts. Like, okay, how crazy is that going to be? So definitely that could be pretty fun.
Zemo went away with the Wakandans to the raft, so that, you know, that could lead to that. I don't know if it's the last time we see him in this series. We said Sharon is helping out the Flag Smashers. We know that Bucky and Sarah might end up having a relationship. Because in any good buddy cop film, when one of the cops beats the other cop's sister, they always have to flirt and possibly have a relationship.
Yeah. Something I found interesting. So when Sam does go to Isaiah to give him the shield, he does see the grandson. Or was it? Did they keep him as his grandson, or did they change it to grandnephew?
No, he does. It's still grandson.
Okay, so he did see the grandson, and they actually named him Eli.
Yep.
So that's huge. Like, I know for us, we had already known that, but so I can't hear anymore. So I have to watch stuff with the subtitles on. And it was funny because in episode 1, they just called him boy, you know,
right.
Oh, you know, hey, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But this episode, they really made sure to put Eli on there. So it's like, oh, so, you know, that's definitely just a confirmation of what we've known, but that's a pretty cool confirmation. We also see Joaquin. He takes the wings. Well, he doesn't take them. They're just left there for him. So maybe that sets us up for Falcon too.
That's true, which is weird because in the comic books, he's a mutant and he has his own biological wings. So what does that mean? Are we not going to get the mutant version? Are we only going to, is he going to get to have those type of wings?
Well, it's better for the actor because one, that's less time in the prosthetics, and all that fun stuff. Because even then, not only does he have mutant wings, but he's like a human bird hybrid looking person.
Right.
So he's also going to have, you know, very distinct features on his face. I don't think they're ready to start saying the M word yet. So I think that's why his origins change not just, they change a lot, you know? So yeah, I don't think they're ready to open that door yet and say, oh yeah, here we go.
And then, you know, as we said, we saw Sam Wilson go through the training. Eventually he's at the very end of the episode, he is ready to open up the box that Bucky gave him from Wakanda. I mean, we know that it's got to be a suit. Is it a regular Falcon suit, maybe with Wakandan colors, or did Bucky and the Wakandans know that he is going to make the right decision eventually, and it's going to be his Falcon suit with the red, white, and blue?
Oh, it's got to be. Well, so if you're a toy collector,
yeah, if you're a toy collector, you already know you know what they've already put out. But I mean, there's sometimes the toys they just make toys for whatever reason, right?
What are you talking about? No, it's gonna be. It is. It's definitely. It's gonna be a great moment to see him suit up. I know I'm excited because I remember when. God, I can't think of his name now. Mackie. What's his first name?
Anthony Mackie.
Anthony. I'm thinking Howard, but that's a comic book writer. But when Anthony Mackie was first suiting up as Falcon for the Winter Soldier, the Captain America 2 movie, he was so excited. He was like, "This Halloween, it's going to be so great to see kids running around as the Falcon." And I was like, "Wow, that's so cool." You know, like that is a huge moment for kids. Representation is getting a huge shot in the arm. This is great, and this is going to be big with him suiting up to be the next Captain America. It's going to be a huge moment. So that's why it's like, no, it can't just be a standard going back to Falcon, because even then I was very surprised that he walked away from the wings.
Right.
You know, I definitely feel like he walked away disillusioned. You know, it was just like, well, you know, forget it. It's the stuff's beyond me. Things are not working out, and he just feels down. Definitely having the montage and the fun moment of fixing up the boat. You know, it's going to revive his spirit in humanity again, and it's just going to come full circle with him stepping into the Captain America role. So yeah, no, I feel we're going to get that, you know, the full out costume that we had seen in the comics. So that's where my money is. I am going to be interested though to see, that case is awfully thick. What else is in there? You know, like obviously it's going to be a new style of wings. So do you keep them kind of like Hawkman style where they're wings out of his back, or are they going to do something a little bit more where they'll be kind of like his traditional Vulture style where they're part of his arm? So I think that'll be interesting to see. Do they change up the look of the wings or not?
Yeah. I think in the past in the MCU they've done it so that his arms can connect in there, like they lock in on the wings if you want him to. I would suspect that it's going to be more of like Hawkman, so that his arms are free to throw the shield.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, I think that's going to definitely be the big part, because it's going to be mighty awkward to throw a shield when that's part of your flying ability. Yeah, no, I can see that. Oh gosh, I had a thought and then I just lost it. Oh well.
Okay.
It was just groundbreaking.
And now it's time for the part that everybody's been waiting for, our Legacy Tournament. We had 8 characters total, all carrying on the mantle of a mentor, a partner, a friend that they really admired, felt that they needed to carry on the name for. Who comes out as the top? Who came out as the top? Why is this the tournament we wanted to do, Chris?
Well, I always think it's fun. Like, I know for us, a big part of comic books is legacy. And legacy is great because that's what gives us more characters. If we think about this list of characters we have, Jim Gordon is probably the oldest. He literally is in the first appearance of Batman as well. So he's been a long, endearing character. Him being a Batman was a little bit unreal, but it was New 52, so hey, who cares? Dick Grayson, the first Robin, definitely a character near and dear to my heart, and I'm glad he got to serve some time behind the ears. Jean Paul Valley, a character near and dear to your heart.
That's right.
Again, we don't get these characters if we don't have legacy. And then there's Jason Todd, a character near and dear to a crowbar. So he's just there. But then on the Cap side of things, we get Bucky Barnes. I think he's just a fantastic character. I enjoyed him as a kid. I was sad to find out. Like, it's funny. The first time I ever meet Bucky is Avengers #4. So it's like, hey, this kid seems cool. Oh, he's dead. Okay. But he was always the ghost that haunted Captain America. So it definitely made him a little bit edgier. But when he was brought back as the Winter Soldier, it was like, wow, okay, this is something else. Like, I love a character arc about redemption. Sam Wilson, I love the fact that he is probably one of the first characters to be second man, but not a sidekick. He was not introduced as a sidekick. He was his own hero. He was his own man. So I love the fact that he brought that to Captain America. He's not the guy who's like, yes, sir. He's the guy who's like, well, I'm going to do this. You do that. Then we have John Walker, just a crazy man taking over the Shield, but still, learning from it and then growing from it. And then to cap it all off, we had Frank Castle, just because, hey, why not get a little bit of mix of wild in there?
So yeah, like obviously Jim Gordon and Frank Castle definitely seem like the odd ones out in that group. However, they did both take on the name. Frank Castle not so much in a sanctioned way, so to speak, and Jim Gordon very much in a mech suit, if I remember correctly.
Well, he also still ran around in a costume. Like, it was crazy. But yeah, he did. He had his big mech suit, which is supposed to be a precursor to the Batman Beyond armor. Yeah, in case you didn't know that. So that was pretty wild.
To me, Frank Castle and Jason Todd kind of seem very similar in the idea of taking on. Well, I guess Jason Todd wasn't very sanctioned either, was he?
No, he kind of wore the bat costume during the oh my God, the battle for the cowl. So he was like, well, you all can keep chasing Batman's cowl. I'll make my own and go crazy. So Frank Castle and Jason Todd, there's a lot of knee surgeons are going to be happy.
So then John Walker and John Paul Valley definitely seem like a similar pairing there. They both take up the mantle after their respected hero leaves, and John Paul Valley eventually goes crazy. John Walker eventually goes crazy. Like, both characters maybe don't handle the pressure well, or the power goes to their head, and then afterwards spend the rest of their careers as their characters, U.S. Agent and Azrael, as trying to redeem their names, trying to redeem what they did. Now, I don't know if that still exists in the Rebirth universe, if all Nightfall happened or not, but I know they did retcon Azrael's character a little bit, even after, even with the Michael Lane addition. So, yeah, we have a lot of legacy with these two titles, and then these characters coming on to take their names. So, our first round bout, how did that go?
So let's see. From what I can remember, so we had Sam and Jim go up against each other, which I did find funny because they actually were Batman and Captain America during the same time period. But of course, it made sense. The fans voted, and I definitely agree with them. Sam gets the win on that one. You got to give it, age and strength. And Sam's a different type of character. He hasn't always had that military background, but if you do, and even the same thing with Jim Gordon, later on in life, they decide to say, oh yeah, both have been former military, so that helps. But I at the end of the day, I think you couple in the fact of Sam's experience. He's a little bit more battle hardened than Jim. So I think if you take down the rookie, the battle suit that Jim was wearing, Jim's going to have a harder time. So I definitely agreed with that one. What about you? Did you feel that was the same way it would go too?
Yeah, I definitely think that. As hardened as Jim Gordon is, it's just Sam just has more experience in the world of superheroing, of doing what he's done.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Because that was also one of the bigger moments, because both of them were definitely kind of a man out of their element. But it was, for Sam, it's just a man trying to live up to the legacy of Cap. And for Jim, it's a cop trying to be a superhero. So a whole different struggle there. So yeah, definitely agreed with that one. The next one we had was Frank Castle going up against Jason Todd. Same thing. I mean, both of them, they chose to put themselves into the running. They're both a history of violence type of character. You'll have to excuse my memory on that one. I think the fans voted for Jason in that regard.
That's correct. Jason Todd ends up pulling ahead in that one. I don't know. Like, both characters, I've had this discussion before. Like, both characters are ready for death because Jason Todd's been there and he's been back. And Frank Castle, you know, all intents and purposes. Anyways, for all reasons, is considers himself dead after his family died, right? So
yeah,
it's two guys wearing the costume of a person that they respect, but willing to die for whatever reason they need to and kill for whatever reason they need to. Definitely not what those two characters represent, but done in a different way. I kind of feel Frank Castle personally. I think Frank Castle wins over Jason Todd, but the fans called it out and Jason Todd wins.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Personally, I would have gone with Frank because at the end of it, I think, and this is a weird way to measure it, but Frank has a higher kill count than Jason does. So Frank is showing you that, dude, I will pull the trigger. I don't care that you're Batman Jr. and you're trying to be Batman hard. I'm going to end you. So I personally would have said that would have been that case. But again, the fans voted, so that leads Jason Todd advancing. But then on that side of the bracket, that put it up with Sam versus Jason, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so that one's an interesting one.
No. Sorry, wait. That's not correct.
Okay.
Because you have to go to the other side. You have to go to Dick Grayson versus Bucky Barnes, and then the winner of that goes on against Sam.
Okay. All right. Oops. Sorry. That's right. I had them on the same side, but they went from the tops. Okay. So yes. So let me see. In that case, then I'll slide across our bracket. So we had Jean Paul Valley and John Walker throwing down against each other. Now those two I like because they are the like. Granted, I just said, you know, Jason and Frank chose to put themselves in this bracket. John and Jean are. They're kind of they're the wild cards, you know. It's they're thrown in because it's like Bruce is like, all right, I found this kid in this cult. I'm helping him kind of, you know, gain his identity and learn how to function on his own. And then my back gets broken. It's like, yeah, let's make this dude Batman. I think that's a great idea. Captain America discovers that basically the president of the United States is part of the masters of evil, so to speak. So he's disillusioned, and then the government goes after him harder, and they're like, well, you have to act a certain way, and he's like, no, I can't act that way. So the government strips him of the rank of Captain America, and they give it to John Walker. Both of them have been the odd man out, but they're definitely an endearing character. They do have their fan bases that love them. I think when it comes down to it, both of them have a touch of the crazy, but I think John's tactical beats out Jean's technical, if that makes sense.
I mean, that makes sense.
So I definitely I went with John Walker just because at the end of it, you know, if you take out Jean Paul Valley's armor, you've got just Jean Paul. Now, I know he's definitely been trained better, and even then when he was Batman at first, he didn't wear armor. So there is definitely that aspect to it. But John Walker has just been, you know, he was a powerhouse before he had the super soldier serum jacked into him. So I think he definitely gets the win there. What are your thoughts on that one, Mitch?
I mean, I'm biased. I had to go with John Paul Valley, and my rationalization of that is that, you know, later on down the line in the continuity or the canon, we find out that John Paul Valley is actually a metahuman. He actually has a little bit of enhanced speed, enhanced strength. Now, John Walker does have the super soldier serum in him, so he also has enhanced strength, enhanced speed, enhanced strength. I just feel like the advantages of the armor, of the Batman training, of the metahumanness all go towards making Azrael the winner.
Okay, I like that. So in the end, what did our fans go with?
They went with John Paul Valley as well.
Wow.
Which is I find very odd, seeing as how John Paul Valley is not relatively known to people, as opposed to now John Walker is known to people.
Yeah, because usually these votes nowadays are no longer about comics; it's about popularity. And you're right. I mean, I think even when we got to see the live action Azrael in Gotham, it was the Michael Lark one, not the Jean Paul Valley.
Well, it was more like the Michael Lane version, but it was even a third character that had absolutely nothing to do with John Paul Valley or Michael Lane.
Even better. Yeah. So that's pretty wild, But I think John Walker was given undue service because he's the character you love to hate. So I think that's what everybody did, was like, no, I don't care. Like, we could have put U.S. Agent up against Mickey Mouse, and I think Mickey Mouse would have won.
Well, I mean, yeah, we could have put him up against Argyle, Ambush Bug. And yeah, Ambush Bug would have won. So yeah, I mean, people just do not like John Walker right now because of the TV show, and rightly so. That's exactly what they're doing with that character. They want you to hate him, even to the point where they like Zemo more than they like John Walker.
So that means in season 2, we're going to see John Walker do his dance moves, and then he'll get his redemption.
That's right. That's where redemption starts, is dancing.
Yep. All right, so let's see. So in that case, I'll finish that part of the title up. So we have Jean Paul advance, which means he's got to go up against
Jason Todd.
So that one, and again, you're going to have to help me out here. So if I'm looking at that fight, I think, and this is where I think Jean Paul's technical and cunning abilities definitely beat out Jason Todd. So I would have voted for Jean Paul Valley in that regard, because I think he's going to be a better tactician and know how to handle Red Hood better than Red Hood would know how to handle Azrael. So that's the route I would have gone. What about you?
I think that Jason Todd seeing Azrael or John Paul Valley in a Batman outfit would have just upset him so much that it would have thrown him off his game. And I think that's where it is. I think that's where John Paul Valley gets the advantage, and I don't know if that's what the fans were thinking also, but that's who they voted for. They went for John Paul Valley over Jason Todd.
Oh, that is very interesting, because again, too, I figured a lot of people would have been, Jason Todd's more of a household name than Jean Paul Valley. All right, so that means Jean Paul Valley advances at the bottom portion of our racket. To cover the next part, we had, this was the battle that hurt me the most, Dick Grayson versus Bucky Barnes. So both of them are the OG when it comes to the OG. Dick Grayson is the first Robin. He's been with Batman pretty much all throughout the career outside of Jim Gordon and Alfred Pennyworth. He's the son of Batman for all intents and purposes. Bucky Barnes, he's the man who is trained in the new origin, of course. He's the man who is trained to become the partner of Captain America. In real world history, we had the Hitler Youth, so they decided to say, hey, let's make Bucky kind of our counter to that, to kind of get kids to stay pro-America in this war. Bucky is trained in all kinds of hand-to-hand and weaponry and stuff like that. So they're the primo sidekick. They're the primo guy. They weren't the first picks, which is interesting, but they do get to shine at their moment behind the shield and the cowl. When it's all said and done, I think, in my opinion, if I'm really sitting down laying it on the line, I really feel that Buck gets the win. The popularity of it probably goes to Dick Grayson, but I think Buck gets the win just because he's seen war, not the war on crime, but he's seen actual war. And those two things, while very similar as the comics paint them out, there is definitely a difference to it. Bucky has gone up against, some vile evil, and not to say that Dick Grayson hasn't, but, when it comes down to it, the Red Skull really will kill Bucky, while the Joker will not kill Dick. He'll kill Jason. He'll kill a Robin. He just wouldn't kill Dick. So I think at the end of it, just Buck's a little bit more apt to go the extra distance for this win. So I think it should have been Bucky, in my opinion. What about you, sir?
So I had a real hard time with this one. Like, I know that you did, but I also did. Dick Grayson for the lack of a better term, is DC's man without fear. Like he is. if all the Green Lanterns end up going away, like dying, and their rings need to go somewhere, it should go to Dick Grayson, because he's overcome great fear so many times. I mean, his family's killed in front of his eyes. The man he ends up going to becoming a father to him, like, betrays him or shuns him, or whatever way you want to do it. And he's constantly drawn, like, even in the spinner rack earlier, like, he's in that one cover, he's drawn like with his arms behind his head as he's falling to the earth, with no care in his mind, because he's not afraid. He doesn't have any fear of doing that. And he's there. He's everybody's friend. Like, we've talked about that several times. He's everybody's friend. He's always there for you, whoever you are. And that's not even getting to the point that he's a skilled fighter. He's a skilled acrobatic. He has the ability. With his time as Batman, he did great strides in the character and made it his own. I think the problem is that Buck will go that extra distance. Dick Grayson's never going to kill somebody. Buck has killed people. Yes, he killed people as the Winter Soldier, and he probably wouldn't do that as Captain America. At least I don't remember. I don't know. I don't think I was reading his book at that time. But Buck knows to fight to the end, and I don't know if Dick does. So I think I voted for Buck. However, the fans did not. They voted for Dick Grayson.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. And again, too, I figure with all the love for the Winter Soldier that he would have inched it out. But yeah, the fans definitely went with good old Dick Grayson.
Which then put us up Dick Grayson versus Sam Wilson. Dick Grayson's Batman versus Sam Wilson's Captain America. The advantage, once again, seems to me to go towards Sam Wilson, with the wings, with the military training, and with the Captain America shield. All those extra bonuses seem to me as the advantage over Dick Grayson. What about you?
So this is interesting because both of them, and it's interesting because if we keep the fact, and I like when you said that in that fight, it made me think of it. So if I focus it on purely as Dick Grayson as Batman and Sam Wilson as Captain America, there's a little bit of a mental block in that, because that was a big part of both these guys when they were living on that legacy, was dealing with the fact that they're wearing, quote unquote, the skin of a loved one, because I know Sam had to deal with a lot of pressure with living up to Captain America. Even Nightwing was definitely very much like, I don't want to be Batman. The city needs it, but I don't want to do it, but I'll do it. So if we sit down and think about it, yes, the edge definitely goes to Sam because he's got the shield and the and the wings, so that definitely gives him a definite lead in that regard. But again, I really got to sit down and look at it when it comes to experience, when it comes to all this and that. Dick has the edge in that regard. Dick has fought as a leader of the Titans against menaces from the supernatural, from the otherworldly, and he's done that with a group of teenagers. Sam has not really had that much of a role of leadership until he got that moment of being Captain America. And even then, it was still kind of like, well, yeah, you're the leader, but you're dealing with people like Tony Stark as Iron Man, so you don't have to really worry too much about them. So at the end of it, I definitely can see Dick's tactical mind outweighing Sam's tactical mind. So I can definitely see, because if you think about it, if you separate the shield from Sam, that's not too hard to do. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. It's just, we've seen the shield even get separated from Steve. So that's easy to take out of play. And then if you disassemble those wings, you've taken those advantages very quick. And with Dick not having much, there isn't much to take from him. So I definitely see Dick pulling out the win over Sam. What about you?
Well, I mean, you also have to take into account that Dick has the backing of all of Wayne Tech behind him. I mean, yeah, I voted for Dick Grayson in this instance. You can't discount the fact that Dick Grayson has been a costume superhero for 90 years, 80 years, whatever it is. It's a lot of experience, and it's his world. Sam is a great Captain America, but yeah, I had to give it to Dick Grayson, and the fans also did. So Dick Grayson and John Paul Valley come up to the finals. They're the ones in the last match. And we obviously didn't intend it this way. We came up with the whole bracket system just because of Falcon and Winter Soldier. So the hope was that there was going to be one Captain America character in there. But no, we got two Batman characters in the end. Dick Grayson's Batman versus John Paul Valley's Batman. And this is what. So how did I title it? I said it's the adopted son versus the prodigal son. No, it's what was it? The original Robin, Dick Grayson, goes up against the man chosen by Batman himself to take on the mantle, John Paul Valley. Place your votes now. So how we had to have seen this fight, didn't we, when Nightfall first came around?
Not necessarily. Like, I mean, definitely, like, Dick Grayson had moments of, like, okay, there's Azabats, but at the end of it, they were always told to, like, no, stand down. That's been the case. Now, we did see something similar when we did see Dick Grayson's Batman go up against the Michael Lane Azrael. We did have that story there. So it's very interesting. I was sad that a Captain America didn't make it to the next round as well. I was like, for sure somebody's got to believe in the Shield, but that's just the popularity of Batman that much more.
It's true.
Which makes sense, because you'll probably see Chris Evans wear a Bat Signal shirt before you'll see any of the Batman actors wear a Captain America shirt. So there is that aspect to it. But yeah, the chosen son versus the adopted son, however we want to frame it, I got to go with Dick in this regard, just because I think if we like going to what you're saying, like when you say it specifically that way, Jean Paul Valley as Batman, Dick Grayson as Batman, I think when Azrael sees a Batman, he's not going to know who's under that cowl. That might put a little bit of worry in his mind. And I think when Dick sees Azbats, he's conscious of it. He's aware of it. He lived through that era. I think that just burns him up even more to be like, I've got to win this fight. This is the guy that brought shame to the name. And he's just got to prove himself. Again, I think Dick's fighting prowess is definitely better than Azrael's. And not to say Azrael's a slouch, but, you like you just said, you're talking about a guy who leads with his chin when he goes into gravity. So it's like, yeah, that's a guy who's like, I'm not afraid. So I think at the end of it, definitely, Bruce took down Azrael. He knew to trick him, to get him to loosen his armor and lose it. I could see Dick going that same regard. Now, you could always argue, well, maybe he wouldn't fall for it twice. But even then, like I said earlier, I could see Dick stripping away those advantages that his opponent has. So I still think he'd find a way to shut Azrael down. So Dick Grayson gets my vote. What about you? This is going to be a tough one.
I mean, yes, obviously my heart goes towards Azrael. My heart goes to John Paul Valley. But I mean, obviously his time as Batman was not a good time for him. He broke. He broke even more. Like, this is a character that was already mentally broken. He got thrown into this guise of being the new Batman, and it weighed too much on him. Like, how does Bruce Wayne deal with not being able to be everywhere at one time? Like, we see people like Superman deal with that, that mental strain, that stress, and he has super speed. Batman has to deal with it, but he has the advantage of being a urban myth, right? Like, everybody's looking over their shoulder all the time for Batman. But Azrael just could not handle that. He ends up going crazy. He ends up hurting, if not killing. I'm not sure if he ended up killing anybody as bats. But yeah, I think the power of Dick Grayson just overpowers, and I voted for Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson, he is the next Batman. He has to be. If it's not if it's not Bruce Wayne, it makes sense for it to be Dick. And yes, Dick doesn't want to be Batman, but the sense of honor, the sense of legacy, it's pushed onto him, and he uses time as Batman to also train Damian, right? So
yeah.
He knows how it is to not so much break the person, but get in there, because he had to make sure that Damian was subservient, I guess, or take his lead, take Dick's lead, and that's not an easy task. So yeah, he has the mental capacity to outthink Jean-Paul Valley, and that's going to be what it is, with all the advantages that the Asbat suit has on it. Dick Grayson would outthink him and eventually win. And that's exactly how the fans thought too. Well, at least they voted for Dick Grayson. I don't know if that's how they thought. Yeah, our ultimate legacy hero is the one that's, he has been around the longest, right? Like
no, actually Jim Gordon edges him out.
Oh, but he's older than Bucky though too.
No, Bucky comes a year after, because I think if I remember correctly, Batman appears in 1938, so there's Jim Gordon as well. Dick Grayson appeared a year later in 1939, and then Captain America and Bucky make their appearance in 1940.
Wow.
Yeah, so we got some golden age in that. But again, like thinking about it as we titled this, and that's at least something that led my mind. I don't know if it led for those that voted, but when we do talk legacy, when all these characters were created, John Walker and Jean-Paul Valley were stand-ins. Thankfully, they got new life as their own characters, which is awesome. Sam was created as a new character in the world of Captain America, which is great because he's not a sidekick. He's his own man. Jason Todd was the replacement to a sidekick. So even then, fans voted to kill him. So he didn't have much going for him. But luckily he found new life again. And even Bucky, while he was, the great sidekick to Captain America, when they brought Captain America, they saw no need for him and got rid of him. So luckily he too found new life in a modern age of comics. But when it's all said and done, and even, Frank Castle is not a Captain America legacy. He was just a crazy dude running around cosplaying. Jim Gordon, he just realized, hey, I got to step up for this vacuum that's out there. So I'll definitely do what I can. But Jim Gordon is always best as Jim Gordon. But at the end of the day, Dick Grayson, that's what he was. He was the boy wonder. We all thought, for intents and purposes, he would grow up to be the next Batman. And that probably would have been the plan if not for New Teen Titans with Marv Wolfman and George Perez, where they finally said, no, Dick Grayson is his own character. Definitely we could do something there. But, at the end of the day, like you mentioned before, he's the DC Universe best friend. So, he will always be the one who pushes through. So I definitely like that.
I wanted to also bring up, since we're talking about legacy, so Nightwing, Dick Grayson, does not have a legacy yet. Nobody has taken on the Nightwing name after him. Bucky Barnes, Bucky, people have taken on the name of Bucky after him. No one's taken on the name of Winter Soldier yet, but other people have been Bucky, right?
Yes, yeah.
Azrael has become a legacy. Like Michael Lane takes on the mantle of Azrael after John Paul Valley. Who was it with Azrael? It was who did
Michael...
who came up? Who went up against Azrael in the first round?
U.S. Agent.
U.S. Agent. We haven't had a U.S. Agent legacy, right? No one else has taken on the mantle of a U.S. Agent. Falcon. We have had a second Falcon now. That's a legacy. Jim Gordon, technically, I guess, like Commissioner Gordon, his daughter eventually becomes Commissioner Gordon in some of the futures. So I count it as a legacy.
I can buy into that when you say it that way. Okay.
Jason Todd has taken on another legacy. Red Hood is the name of someone of a villain or a collective of villains. Or if you want to look at it as Robin, like other people have been Robin after him. And then Punisher. There hasn't been another Punisher, right? Even Punisher 2099 was still Frank, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a different guy. We've kind of had other Punishers, but in the end, people want their Frank Castle, so it always comes back. But yeah, Punisher's been a bit of a legacy character, I'd say.
Okay, so I mean, if you want to look at it as what was it? What's Cosmic Ghost Rider? he is kind of a legacy that way. Either way, I love that the legacy branches out in many other ways when you come out of just these characters alone. If we do see a future Nightwing after Dick Grayson has to take on the mantle of Batman again, I would love to see that. I'd love to see who takes on that title. If Jason Todd at one time was going around as Nightwing, so there's that.
Yeah. Well, we have seen. So you remember Christopher Kent, another son of General Zod, but he was Nightwing but it was the Nightwing and Flamebird.
Right.
So he was probably more the legacy of Krypton's Nightwing. But yeah, we did have Jason Todd. He went a little bit more crazy and was like, "Hey, let me wear the Nightwing costume and kill people." We also had Nightwing, Nittewi. We had that guy who was actually running around in hockey pads. He was trying to do his best to clean up Bloodhaven alongside Dick Grayson, but that didn't work out so well. And then this is an interesting one. I don't know how to consider her, but Harper Row. She was a character that was introduced in the New 52 era. She becomes Bluebird, but she definitely looks like a female version of Nightwing.
True.
So I'm always curious, like, does she fall under that regard? Have we had those two meet yet and be kind of like, all right, that's cool, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think that's kind of a fun twist on the legacy idea there.
All right, there you go. There is how the tournament played out on our social media. If you agree, please let us know. If you don't agree, please let us know. You can find me on Twitter. I am at Mitchipedia, GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. Chris, where can people find you online?
Oh, you can definitely find me on Twitter as well. My handle is at Stuff I Should Say, should being spelled SHUD. And then check me out here on geekelitemedia.com for some of my writings. And then also check out AIPTcomics.com for my new comic book reviews.
The rest of Geek Elite Media is at Geek Elite Media on Twitter, at Geek Elite Media on Instagram, and Facebook.com/Geek Elite Media is our Facebook page. Check out archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our network on our website, geekelitemedia.com. Go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Geek Elite Media for exclusive material only our patrons have access to. And then whatever podcatcher you use to listen to us, please rate and review us. It helps spread the word of our network. But until next time, this is Imagine If on the Geek Elite.
Hold on. I'm gonna cut you short because anniversary issues. They always love to do this. They always put plot lines in there, right? So since we just had a big legacy throwdown, I was thinking about this. The newest heirs. Oh, who knows when we'll get to this battle? Who knows how it'll happen? But we're gonna throw this one at you, listeners. One of the newest legacies, Eli Bradley, aka Patriot, up against Damian Wayne, the Robin. Who do you think wins? Maybe we'll tell you. Maybe we won't. We'll find out later. Maybe.
Maybe. But until next time, this is Imagine If on the Geek Elite Media Network saying always remember to geek out.
Geek out.
This concludes our broadcast.